behind in Gaza. And IDF helicopters have been seen flying along the Israeli coastline. Here's a picture from Ashkelon earlier today. Now, Ashkelon is only 20 kilometers from Gaza. It is there, of course, that the IDF says Hamas is holding 230 hostage. And it is there where Israeli military says it's hit more than 450 targets in the last day. Israel says it includes Hamas command centers, observation posts and missile launch sites. First, let me update you with events overnight. These are the pictures. Israel says it's been targeting Hamas tunnels and underground spaces, continues to urge everyone to go further south. In Gaza itself, the near-total communications blackout apparently is easing. Hospitals remain to be overwhelmed and basic needs scarce. There is very little international aid that is being allowed in. CNN's Scott McLean joins us from London. What more do we know from overnight?
Yeah, we're trying to figure out precisely the extent that Israeli ground troops are actually inside of Gaza at this stage. Israel says that there were 450 strikes on what it calls terror targets in the past day. It also says that Israeli ground troops are now helping to direct some of those strikes. We also know from a journalist in central Gaza that he said that the artillery strikes yesterday were, well, in his words, did not stop. He also said that there was gunfire heard in the eastern part of Gaza near that perimeter wall, and many of the people showing up at the hospital in Deir al-Balah don't have injuries from airstrikes, but from artillery strikes instead. Obviously, none of this is helping the humanitarian situation. We have video that was shot yesterday by the AFP showing people in Gaza, desperate people obviously, ransacking a UN warehouse and carrying out whatever food supplies they can. It looks like bags of rice from what we can tell from the video. But the Israeli leadership is still sort of framing all of this in very binary terms. You have the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu coming out yesterday calling Gaza the fortress of evil, saying anyone who accuses the IDF of war crimes is a hypocritical liar. And then you have the defense minister also warning that this is going to be a long war. He said this, quote, "This will not be a short war. It is a long war that will require us to be strong as individuals, as a society, as leaders. Above all, our security forces will be strong. This is a war in our home. This is a war we didn't choose. It's either us or them." Now, the Israelis have also tried to stress their warning for people in northern Gaza to move farther south, saying that they are trying to intensify those efforts. But here's the reality, Richard. We are still seeing airstrikes, artillery strikes in central and southern Gaza as well. So even if people were to flee south, there is no guarantee that they'll be safe. In fact, there have been strikes where people who fled northern Gaza have been killed in central or southern Gaza as well.
Now, over the last 36 hours, the lack of communication, the breakdown, I should say, of communication with Gaza, aid agencies and NGOs saying they haven't been able to get in touch. Do we know if things are now, if not back to normal, getting better when it comes to keeping in touch?
Yeah, I don't think anyone is describing things as back to normal, but things are improving. This was not a total blackout, but it was a near total blackout. There was some limited connectivity that people had to the outside world, but many people reported that they weren't able to get online at all. We haven't heard from all of the communications companies, but we have heard from two of them who say that they are working to repair their systems and they are slowly restoring the connectivity of the internet, landlines, cell service inside of Gaza. But this sort of blackout period that Gaza went through has brought Elon Musk into the debate suddenly. He owns Starlink, the satellite internet company, the same company whose terminals have allowed troops in Ukraine on the front lines to still communicate with each other. And he said that, look, Starlinks would be available to internationally recognized humanitarian organizations. That prompted a furious response, though, from the Israeli communications minister, who said, quote, "Hamas will use it for terrorist activities. There is no doubt about it. We know it, and Musk knows it. Hamas is ISIS. Perhaps Musk would be willing to condition it with the release of our abducted babies, sons, daughters, elderly people, all of them." Now, Musk responded to that, saying, look, he's not naive. He said that the Americans, the Israelis, could carry out their own security checks before these Starlink terminals could actually connect to satellites. He also says that look, not a single terminal inside Gaza has actually attempted to connect to their satellites thus far, Richard.
Thank you. Scott McLean reporting from London. A top concern for many is the fate of Gaza's children. Their lives are increasingly at risk. Jumana Kurdish reports on the anguish of families who've either lost loved ones or are caring for children and whose lives will never be the same. The video we're going to show you is graphic, and some of you may find it disturbing.
It's hard to believe this was Gaza just a few weeks ago. Little Noor, dressed in his finest, dancing with his brother at a wedding. His mother Wissal still can't believe her boy is gone. He was holding my hand as I took him to make him a sandwich, she says. He didn't get to eat it. Shrapnel cut through his neck. He's now in heaven. God give me strength to deal with this. The airstrikes that took 6-year-old Noor and other relatives left her with injuries all over her body and the unbearable pain so many Palestinian mothers are having to endure. There's a void in my heart. I can't even cry, she says. I really want to cry, but the tears are not coming out. Why can't I get it out? I want to cry for my little boy. Recovering at hospital, she just wants to get back to her 3 other children, now homeless, sheltering at a school. Hell is raining down on Gaza. Israel says it's going after Hamas and doing what it can to spare the innocent, but it is the innocent who are paying the heaviest price. In the few hospitals still barely standing, the pictures are too graphic for us to show, but faces here tell of the horrors they've survived and this living nightmare they can't escape. 3-year-old Judy hasn't uttered a word in 16 days. She won't eat or drink, her father says, still in shock, with a piece of shrapnel lodged in her head. What did these children do? We have nothing to do with the resistance, he says. They're just targeting Palestinians. They're killing children because they're Palestinian. To them, we're not humans. They don't know if she'll be able to walk again. Judy is one of the lucky ones, if one can call them that. She still has her father by her side. Baby Arwa keeps asking for her mom. She's too young to understand, her uncle says. Arwa's lost her mother, her brother, and her sister too. She shows the camera her ouchie. Every corner of every hospital, so many heart-wrenching stories of loss so hard to comprehend. Deri only wakes up to cry, her aunt says. In a room with her 7-year-old brother, Kinan, the two were the only ones to survive an airstrike that killed their mother, father, brother, and dozens of their extended family. Kinan doesn't say much these days. He asks me if we have internet here. He says, I want to call mommy and daddy, his aunt says. Doctors in these overwhelmed hospitals say every day brings a constant stream of children with no parents, a flood of injured they just don't have enough to treat. With the little they have, they do what they can. But how do you begin to deal with so many going through so much?
Now I spoke to Samir Abdel-Jabbar, the Palestinian representative and director at the World Food Programme. And I asked him if Israel's claim that aid deliveries in Gaza are about to expand, is that claim true?
Today we will be able to allow more trucks into Gaza. 40 trucks are expected to be crossing. However, we have to also note that that's not enough compared to the soaring needs that are in need at the moment in Gaza. We need more than that. Just for WFP to be able to reach 1 million people, we need 40 trucks a day. If we're going to be supporting 2 million people, we need 100 trucks of food. But of course, you know that the trucks that are going in includes other commodities as well that are essentially needed on the ground.
And what about fuel? Is that going in? Any fuel?
Not to my knowledge. Those trucks are basically for food, water, and medical supplies.
It's clearly insufficient by a large measure. And as Israel continues its bombardment and the ground offensive, do you worry it will become more difficult even to bring the stuff in from the south?
I think you mentioned it earlier on this report. Yesterday was a major challenge for all of us because of the blackout that happened with telecommunication. So even yesterday we couldn't coordinate on the ground to facilitate for the trucks to go in. Luckily today it's gradually coming back, but after 36 of no communication on the ground with our staff, with our partners, even just to plan for the crossing and transshipment of the trucks was a major challenge. And that is something that shows how vulnerable the whole situation is if something as simple as communication is not provided for us to be able to operate.
But to clarify, you do have some form of communication with your people in Gaza at the moment?
Today, yes. This morning, yes. But in the last 36 hours, it has been a major challenge. We were not able to account for all our staff and their family.
In the north, Israel says its fighter jets have hit Hezbollah targets in Lebanon on Saturday. It was the latest in a series of cross-border clashes since the crisis began. An IDF statement says the planes hit a military compound and observation posts following rocket and missile fire from Lebanon into Israel. Its top general also says his troops are maintaining a high level of readiness to prevent possible future military moves by Hezbollah. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia, Egypt and the UAE have condemned Israel's latest moves, saying they threaten to destabilize the entire region. Egypt's president says his country's diplomats are working to resolve the conflict and claims some unidentified drones were brought down in Egypt on Friday. He's also warning that the conflict better not spread beyond Gaza.
امبارح كان في yesterday drones entered Egypt and were brought down. Regardless of where they came from, I previously warned that the expansion of the conflict is not in the interest of the region. The region will become a ticking time bomb that harms us all. This is why I'm saying, please, Egypt is a sovereign country, and I hope we all respect its sovereignty and status. What I'm saying now is not to brag, but Egypt is a very strong country that shall not be touched.
As you and I continue this morning or evening, where you may be, Hollywood's reacting to the death of the actor Matthew Perry, we know so far, and some of the tributes for the Friends star. That's coming up next. This is CNN.
Salonpas, makers of powerful pain relief patches for 89 years, believes in continuous improvement, like rounded corners that resist peeling, with an array of active ingredients and sizes to relieve your pain. Salonpas, it's good medicine.
With thyroid eye disease, I hid from the camera, and I wanted to hide from the world. For years, I thought my TED was beyond help. But then, I asked my doctor about Tepezza.
Tepezza is the only medicine that treats TED at the source, not just the symptoms. In a clinical study, more than 8 out of 10 patients taking Tepezza had less eye bulging. Tepezza is an infusion and may cause infusion reactions. Tell your doctor right away if you experience high blood pressure, fast heartbeat, shortness of breath, or muscle pain. Before treatment, tell your doctor if you have diabetes, IBD, or are pregnant or planning to become pregnant. Tepezza may raise blood sugar and may worsen IBD. Tepezza may cause severe hearing problems, which may be permanent.
Now, I'm ready to be seen again.
Visit mytepezza.com to find a TED eye specialist and to see Bridget's before and after photos.
I brought in Ensure Max Protein with 30 grams of protein. Those who tried me felt more energy in just 2 weeks. Here, I'll take that.
Ensure Max Protein. 30 grams protein, 1 gram sugar, 25 vitamins and minerals, and nutrients for immune health.
Had enough?
No.
Arthritis. Here, Aspercream arthritis.
Full prescription strength. Reduces inflammation.
Thank the gods. Don't thank them too soon.
Kick pain in the Aspercream.
I was stuck. I unresolved depression symptoms were in my way. I needed more from my antidepressant. Vraylar helped give it a lift.
Adding Vraylar to an antidepressant is clinically proven to help relieve overall depression symptoms better than an antidepressant alone. And in Vraylar clinical studies, most saw no substantial impact on weight. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke, report unusual changes in behavior or suicidal thoughts. Antidepressants can increase these in children and young adults, report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, as these may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High blood sugar, which can lead to coma or death, weight gain, and high cholesterol may occur. Movement dysfunction and restlessness are common side effects. Stomach and sleep issues, dizziness, increased appetite, and fatigue are also common. Side effects may not appear for several weeks.
I didn't have to change my treatment. I just gave it a lift.
Ask about Vraylar and learn how AbbVie can help you save.
Tide is busting laundry's biggest myth.
That cold water can't clean.
Cold water on those things?
Well, only one way to find out.
Tide cleans better in cold than the leading bargain detergent in warm.
Cold water can't clean tough stains? I'd say that myth is
Busted. Office went to say that.
Turn to cold with Tide.
Create a backyard that's out of this world. Right now, save $50 on the MS-250 chainsaw. Real steel. Find yours.
The actor Matthew Perry has died at the age of 54. Warner Brothers Television Group has confirmed this on Saturday. The Los Angeles Times is citing law enforcement sources and reports that Friends star was found dead in a hot tub at his home in Los Angeles. The Times says its sources did not provide a cause of death. There was no sign of foul play. Matthew Perry appeared in countless TV shows and is best known for playing the role of Chandler Bing on Friends.
I want to quit the gym. You want to quit? I want to quit the gym. You do realize you won't have access to our new full-service Swedish spa. I want to quit the gym.
CNN's Camilla Bernal with more on Perry's life, career and his desire to help others through his own struggles.
Shock and sadness. That has been the reaction from Hollywood and from fans to the death of Matthew Perry. Police here in Los Angeles say that they're investigating his death, and this is according to a law enforcement source that spoke to CNN. They responded to his home at 4:10 p.m. local time on Saturday, and the Los Angeles Fire Department also telling CNN that the 911 call came in at 4:07 p.m. for a water rescue emergency. The Los Angeles Times is reporting that he died in an apparent drowning accident at his home here in LA, and they cited a law enforcement source saying that no foul play is suspected. Now, we are, of course, waiting for more details on what happened, but let's talk about him. We know he developed a love for acting in his teenage years. He started with smaller roles and eventually landed higher profile roles, but it was being cast as the very funny and sarcastic Chandler on Friends that made him so famous. Off screen, the actors became as close as their characters on the show, and they famously negotiated together to become some of the highest paid actors on television at the time. Now, despite the joy he did bring to audiences on camera, he said he struggled with addiction and eventually was able to share those struggles with his fans in his book. And he said he wanted to share those struggles, not just in his books, but in many interviews, because he wanted to help people. Camila Bernal, CNN, Los Angeles.
Now, tributes from various friends in Hollywood are coming in. In a post on X, the actress Mira Sorvino called him a sweet, troubled soul and said, "May you find peace and happiness in heaven, making everyone laugh with your singular wit." Maggie Wheeler, who played Perry's on-again, off-again girlfriend Janice on Friends, wrote, "What a loss. The joy you brought to so many in your too short life will live on." More impact on Perry's impact on Hollywood. Here's Emily Longaretta, Senior TV Features Editor at Variety.
He has had such an impact as an actor and a comedian. I mean, of course, Friends is the thing that everyone thinks of because, again, no one could be Chandler Bing. Friends wouldn't have been Friends without that group of cast, but that really includes him, and that's really hard to think of a world that exists now. TV is very different today. The sitcom world is very different today, and it doesn't exist where people are tuning in every single week to watch a certain group of friends gather together, and 20 million people turning on their TVs and welcoming him into their living room is an important thing to note. As while he was, of course, on film, he was a really, really big TV actor, and a thing that comes along with being a TV star is that you really are welcomed into people's homes. So people fell in love with him. Of course, they fell in love with Chandler Bing, but they also fell in love with his character Joe on The West Wing. They fell in love with him on Go On, his short-lived series that was on. The many, many things that he popped up in, and the Odd Couple revival. The list goes on, and that really goes back to what an incredible actor he was with such amazing comedic timing. I mean, it's really, really, it goes kind of to show that the most famous lines of Friends were a lot of his, and that's because of his cadence in delivering those lines of "Could I be more excited?" That is what Matthew Perry brought to Chandler. That wasn't written in; he created that, and that's something that is a really, really nice thing to think about.
Matthew Perry, who's died. Israel is accusing Hamas of using Gaza's largest hospital as its command center. Still ahead, we'll show you the scenes from inside the Al-Shifa hospital. We'll talk to former staff about that claim. Also, Qatar says it's hopeful more Hamas hostages will be released. A top Qatari official speaks to us on the latest efforts to mediate this crisis.
Lactate is 100% real milk, just without the lactose. Delicious, too. Just ask my old friend Kevin.
Nothing like enjoying a cold one while watching the game. Who's winning?
We are, my friend. We are.
Okay, everyone. Our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Ensure with 27 vitamins and minerals, nutrients for immune health, and Ensure Complete with 30 grams of protein.
Had enough? No, arthritis. Here, Aspercream arthritis. Huh. Full prescription strength. Reduces inflammation. Thank the gods. Don't thank them too soon.
Kick pain in the Aspercream.
My most important kitchen tool? My brain. So I choose new Nariva Ultra. Unlike some others, it supports 7 brain health indicators, including mental alertness, from 1 serving to help keep me sharp. Try new Nariva Ultra. Think bigger.
New emergency crystals pop and fizz when you throw them back. And who doesn't love a good throwback? Emergency crystals.
I wish for the amazing new iPhone 15 Pro.
Sean, do you mean this one, the one with titanium? Switch to Verizon and get iPhone 15 Pro on them. Wow.
Get iPhone 15 Pro, Apple TV 4K, and 6 months of Apple One. All 3 on us. Only on Verizon.
Skin craving next level hydration? New Neutrogena Hydro Boost Water Cream. A vital boost of 9 times more hydration to boost your skin's barrier for quenched, dewy skin that's full of life. Neutrogena Hydro Boost.
Not flossing well? Then add the whoa of Listerine to your routine. New science shows Listerine is 5 times more effective than floss at reducing plaque above the gum line for a cleaner, healthier mouth. Listerine, feel the whoa.
Discover crisp morning air. Flavors of the Spice Trail. Peaceful places.
That the expected all-out ground offensive has begun yet. Phone and internet service in Gaza has been partially restored to 2 service providers and a monitoring group. after the severe disruption that took place on Friday evening when there was a near total blackout of communications, meaning that no aid group had an idea where their personnel were or even if they were safe. As Scott McLean reported earlier, Elon Musk is offering to help meet the communications needs of humanitarian groups in Gaza. The owner of X, formerly of course Twitter, offered his Starlink service to support connectivity for internationally recognized aid organizations. Starlink uses satellites to provide internet service. Israel has resisted the idea. Its communications minister posted that Hamas would use the service for terrorist activities. He suggests that Musk should condition his offer on the release of hostages held by Hamas. The Director General of the Hamas-controlled Gaza Health Ministry has told us the hospitals there are used to treat patients only. That's in response to the Israeli claim that Hamas has set up a command and control center in bunkers beneath Gaza's biggest hospital. Nada Bashir, more on that situation and how civilians are increasingly paying the ultimate price. And of course, her image, I need to warn you, has images that may be distressing to you.
Over the chilling, imposed darkness that engulfs Gaza every night. A glaring promise of more death and destruction. The ongoing siege and a communications blackout plunging Gaza into eerie silence.
But for him it was much more meaningful than that.
When we reached the site of the Woodstock Festival, Mitch Mitchell, the drummer, looked out and said, "Oh my goodness, he'd never seen that many people before." And I said, "What is it, Mitch?" And I looked out and said, "Oh no." And then Jimmy looked out and he said, with all the wisdom that he had, I don't know where he got this wisdom, but he said, those people are sending a lot of energy up on stage. So let us take that energy, utilize it, and send it back to them.
I'll sing it with you again.
And when he's doing the Star Spangled Banner at Woodstock, it just sounded like everything that had happened up to that point in his life and in his family's life. It was this amazing collision of putting what the country was going through, or his generation, to sound. It was a pretty amazing moment.
Including all of his frustration with civil rights, with racism, with the war in Vietnam, with political oppression, and I think they all come out in his playing. I mean, you hear it. He's painting a picture for you. All you gotta do is listen.
Some people thought at that time it was sacrilegious. And my dad got really tense, and he wasn't breathing. And I was like, "Are you okay?" And he said, he kept looking over at the police officer, and he said, once it was over, he could breathe, because he thought the police officer was going to arrest him, because you just didn't do that then. He was very proud. I mean, he was very proud of being Native and being African American and being Scottish. It's part of your legacy, it's part of your heritage, it's part of who you are and what you want to reflect and represent.
It's kind of the American superhero in a way. It's like he's a little bit of everything, but none of it's diluted. It's like he's more powerful because of it.
Ode to Jimi Hendrix, a song by Paul Beckman, Palomino song. I never knew he had Indian in him as well. Created October 28th, 2023. Ode to Jimi Hendrix. Ode to Jimi Hendrix. Ode to Jimi Hendrix. Ode to Jimi Hendrix. Yeah, I never knew he had any in him. And how indigenous cultures contributed to music that's been evolving since the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, 2020. Indigenous culture's contribution to music throughout history. Jimi Hendrix, Jimi Hendrix, Jimi Hendrix, Jimi Hendrix. Ode to Jimi Hendrix, yeah.